Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. Today I am working on the front of the car. I've just been making a mess of everything. I've been doing grinding and sanding on the body in order to clear some of the holes for the side pipes. You saw some of that last week. And so the car is a complete disaster as far as the fiberglass does. But this week I'm going to be working on the front. I've got some wiring to finish up in the front of the car for the headlights and the turn signals. I've got the splash shields that need to go in. I've got the louvers to go in. So come right back and we'll go over all that stuff. All right, so no amount of vacuuming is saving me from all the dust that I've been making. You can see the side of the body is just covered in a thick coat of fiberglass dust. Now, we're going to do our best to take compressed air, blow as much of this off as we can, and then we're gonna have to get in here and do some cleaning on the chassis because all of that dust just migrates into the engine compartment as well. So we've got some cleanup to do. But I did want to show you that I've got all of the wiring for the headlights and the turn signals lights done. I did my best to keep all of the wiring away from the radiator. So even though it runs on the bottom of the radiator, meaning that's where our P-clips or our cushion claps attach to, we make sure that we keep all of the wiring far enough away from the radiator so that none of that heat, that concentrated heat, is going to, one, melt the loom that's protecting the wire, and two, do any damage to the wire. So I've done my best to keep everything out of here. Now the P-clips do a good job on the bottom of the radiator, but the car owner bought all of these little clips, and these clips go onto the chassis with a pop rivet, just like we would use for the cushion clips. But then it allows you to use a zip tie or a tie wrap in each of those locations. Now, this is the first time I've used these, and honestly, I prefer the P-clips, but since the car owner bought these and he had them throughout most of the rest of the car, I used them in all those areas where I thought that they would be easily accessible if, for instance, the tie wrap ever gave way and he had to put a new tie wrap in, or he had to replace the actual little adapter or whatever these mounts are. So I kept them in areas where they're easily accessible. So you can see we got everything kind of neatly tucked away from any harm, and then we've got our weather pack connectors connected, and I'm going to go ahead and test those probably over the next couple of days, and then just a single tie wrap up there to hold everything in place. So this side came out really nice, and I worked on those last night. I started on the cutouts for the side pipes last night, but you guys saw that in last week's video. And then over on this side, I went ahead and I think I'm still going to add another strap right here. This is our wiring that goes down to the horn. I'm just not happy with this loose like this, so I'm probably going to add another one of those little adapters and a tie wrap here. And then on this side, you can see we did a good job keeping everything away from the radiator. We've got some straps down here. We've got our ground for our fan connected, so that's in and working like it should. And then we've got the same weather pack connectors over on this side for the headlight and the turn signal or parking light. And that's all nice and neat and up and out of the way. So I think what I'm going to work on next is probably the louvers. Now I'm going to have to get in here and do some cleaning because just like the other side, there's a lot of dust on everything. So I'm going to work on the louvers next, but right now I've got them out in the main shop and I basically glued them up. So you've probably seen in the past where I've used one of my race ramps, and I use that as a staging platform to put the louvers together. Well, in this case, since I've got the stomp shear and it's got a nice level hard surface, I can go ahead and I can glue up the angle brackets for the louvers on this because it's nice and flat and I don't have to worry about it moving. So what I've done is I've taken the 90-degree angled pieces and I've glued them to the side of the louvers on each side. So top and bottom for this one and top and bottom for that one. Now I will have to make sure that those dry overnight. So it's already pretty late in the afternoon. I think it's about 5:30. So I'm probably only going to be working for a couple more hours here in the shop. So by the time I come out to the shop tomorrow, those will be ready to put in. In the meantime, I'm going to go start working on cleaning a bunch of that stuff up back there. I'm probably just going to use some multi-purpose cleaner and a rag. Be careful when you're cleaning the backside of fiberglass. If you don't have a coating on it, you know, like a lizard skin or one of those, Raptor liner, a lot of guys use that up in the wheel wells. You're going to find like stray fibers that are sticking out of the fiberglass, and the last thing you want to do is run your hand over that and have a nice sharp piece of fiberglass stick in your hand. So if you're going to do that, wear gloves, and then be careful that those things don't stick in the rag or the paper towel or anything else you're using, and then you set it down, use it for something else, and end up stabbing yourself with that. So I'm going to get working on that. I will see you guys tomorrow. Next day, I just got finished lubing the car. So all of the ball joints, all of the heim joints, all of the suspension parts, all of the bushings are now greased. I did pick up a new grease gun, and what happened is in the move, one of my grease guns got dented, and it's nobody's fault but probably my own. I should have just moved them on my own. But the other thing is with a manual grease gun, it always seems as though they leak. And I'm just tired of the mess. So I picked up a Milwaukee, an M12 grease gun. It actually worked really good. So I got the entire car lubed, and Mrs. IU427 was out here helping, and she was out here doing the vinegar-roon. So if you've ever wondered how to change the color of the tan leather straps, the door check straps, and like the little pads that are on the 5-point harnesses that they supply you with your Cobra kit, you can actually mix up a solution of vinegar-roon. So basically what you do is you take a jar, you put a piece of steel wool. I like to use the fine steel wool because it reacts quicker. And then you fill that glass jar with white distilled vinegar. And what happens, there's a chemical reaction. And it turns that clear liquid into basically a dye for leather, and it won't harm anything else. So it won't stain the metal pieces on your 5-point harnesses. It won't stain the fabric, but it will stain your hands. So be careful, wear gloves. And after it cooks for about 4 or 5 days, what you do is you strain off the metal material, basically the steel wool, and put it into another jar. We've got another jar right here, and we've used this for vinegar-roon in the past, actually, these 2 jars. And so we've got our vinegar-roon solution in here, and you can see what's left in the jar I started with is just remnants of that steel wool on the corner. And I'll leave it in there, and I'll use that for the next batch. But this will evaporate over in the next probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then I'll just be left with an empty jar again. Now you want to make sure that you do not close the lids. So these lids are loose. And what that does is it allows the chemical reaction between the metal and the distilled white vinegar. If you don't leave it vented, what will happen is it'll either crack the jar, blow the jar apart, or it'll bulge the lid, depending on what kind of lid you have. So even in that Mason's jar that we have there, I have the lid sitting on it, but it's not closed tight. So Mrs. IU427 did the check straps and those leather pieces on the let me see, I can show you. Here's one of the check straps right here, and you can see how nice they came out. I'll show you, actually, you can see one of the straps right there that she did. And so, we got airplanes flying overhead today. And they came out really good. Now, like I said, I lubed the car, and so everything in the front and the back is all lubed. So, all of the joints back here for the control arms, so here and here, same thing on the other side, those are done. I've got a suspicious leak on the transmission, but it's not wet up here. So what I think happened is when we started throwing all that fluid out, the ends of these two tubes right here got transmission fluid in them. And they're slowly draining. And so every time I turn around, I'm wiping up transmission fluid, but there's nothing on top. It's all there at the bottom. So that's what I kind of looked at today. The ends of those tubes were both wet, and I thought, you know what, I wonder if it's getting in there, or if it got in there and it's just now draining. So I might take some compressed air and see if I can get that out of there, or maybe even a bottle brush and see if I can get whatever remainder is out of there. If not, it'll just drain out over time and eventually it'll stop. But I also changed out all the hardware on the side pipes. So the side pipes are good to go other than their rear hangers, and we'll work on those once we get this thing back on 4 wheels. But I think I'm going to end the video here. Next week I'm probably going to be working on the splash panels here in the front, so I'll get those in place. I'll get it back on 4 wheels. Maybe I'll get the side pipes all finished up with their hangers, and then I might even corner weight the car next week. So it's going pretty quick now. We've only got a few things left on the car before we can actually take it out and put some more miles on it. And then hopefully soon after that, the owner will be coming down to pick the car up. So if you're enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.